So hi everyone, I just want to show you how to do the Russian spiral. This is one of my favorite stitches. It's really easy. You're going to be picking up the same beads and doing the same stitch all the way along, and the stitch itself will create this lovely spiraling effect. In this video, we're going to be using the 3mm bugle beads and delicate beads with some super long thread and a needle, just stitching the beads together. Once you get a bit more advanced or a bit more familiar with the stitch, you can try using different bugles in different places, but I will explain that later and show you how it's done. It's such a lovely stitch. It'd be different, using different type of bugle beads here, with like shiny and a non-shiny, a matte version. It really gives it a very nice effect. It's more like a store-bought, more expensive look, I guess. So let me just get started here, move these things out of the way. The materials you're gonna need a magnetic clasp, you're gonna need your delicate beads, they are size 11, and your 3mm bugle beads. Now bugle beads I like to use are Toho bugle beads because they are a little bit more regular and they haven't got sharp edges, so they're perfect for this stitch. You're also going to need a needle and thread. Now I threaded my needle up here. I use probably a couple of arm span here. I'm not going to cut the bobbin off because later on I can come back and unveil more and continue my bead weaving to the other side. So if I just take one of the bracelets, I'll show you. Probably wherever you start, if you start your stitching here, you're going to continue one end and attach the clasp, and then we're going to unveil more thread from the bobbin and continue the stitching to the other side and attach the other side of the clasp. The clasp is magnetic clasp. It's really nice and easy to put on and to take off. I just love them. So how to start the stitch: you're more than welcome to print out your PDF, which is on your USB, or you can just work on your iPad or straight from your computer if you got your USB plugged in. It's all step-by-step instructions, everything there what you need to know. But the way how we pick up the beads, that's very at the beginning, that's very important, because that's what's going to allow you to come back and continue your weave on the other side without any joining or anything at all. So you have to pick up one delicate bead, one bugle bead, two delicate beads, another bugle bead, another two delicate beads, and another bugle bead. So this is what you start with. I'm going to slide this all the way down, and what you have to do first is to go through all of these beads again to form a circle. So I'm going to do all the beads again. All the way around. And I'm going to take my needle through the first bugle bead, the single bugle bead, one more time to be in position to add further beads. Now the trickiest part with the Russian spiral, I guess, is the start. So if you're a beginner, I like to suspend the work sort of on my fingers. So I've wrapped my tail end or my bobbin end around my index finger, as suspend my work, holding my working thread with my thumb and my ring finger or middle finger, supporting this little beading right here. But if you're a complete beginner, it might be a good idea to insert a crochet hook or a knitting pin or anything, like even like a cocktail stick will do, what will go into that little hole just to hold it there better for you, and then you can go round and round with it as you wish. Now it doesn't matter if you're working clockwise or you're working anti-clockwise, depending. See if I flip it around. So if I flip it this way, I'm gonna go clockwise. If I flip it this way, I'm gonna go anti-clockwise. Now I like to go away from myself when I do this stitching, so I usually do anti-clockwise. So I'm gonna insert this on this crochet hook here. So just you can see how easy, and with this way you keep your direction, because I suppose that's the most common mistakes, is that you lose your direction. So what you're going to do next, you're going to pick up one delicate bead and one bugle bead to your needle, slide this down, and you're going to miss in reverse what you picked up. So you're going to miss this bugle bead and the first delicate bead and go through the second bugle bead. And I pull this up and you can see this just going to sit right there. Now I want to work upwards, so I'm going to make sure this one is sitting on top what I have, and my first row will be at the bottom, and slightly turn it a bit, and then you're going to repeat the same thing again. So you pick up one delicate bead, one bugle bead, missing a bugle bead and a delicate bead, and going through the second delicate bead there, and just pull this tight. And again, I'm going to make sure this little stitch what I just added ends up on the top of my work, and you will see the reason why this is important in a minute. So when we're adding our third set here, now this is where you're going back to the first bugle bead you just had there and the first delicate bead, so you're making your beading continuous. Just trying to hold it so you can see it the best way. Make sure this is sitting upwards, and I'm going to pick up one more delicate bead and one more bugle bead. I'm going to miss the delicate bead and the first bugle bead. Now the first bugle bead is on my base row, the circle we made. The second delicate bead here is on the first stitch what we did, and that's why I want to go through that first delicate bead we added after making our circle, and just pull that tight again, making sure this sits at the top. But now, because we are stitched all three of our little stitches together, or little bead additions together, now they're going to sit the right way, so you don't have to worry about it so much. Now I'm going to take this out from here so you can see it better and bring it up. So what I'm doing, another good way to hold, I sometimes hold on to my beadwork, is to hold it by the end where your working thread, just pinch it between your thumb and your index finger, and what this does is doesn't let the thread travel backwards when you're doing your stitching. So I'm picking up another delicate bead and another bugle bead. This is what you're doing all the way through. I'm missing a bugle bead and a delicate bead and going through the second delicate bead and pulling it tight. That's it. And then I'm going around again and pulling this tight. Doing the same again, picking up one delicate and one bugle, missing a bugle and a delicate, and I'm going through the second delicate bead. Now once you have an inch or so of beading, it will be really easy to hold on to, and you can sort of just fly away with it, I guess. Because it doesn't matter where you put it down, you're picking up the same beads over and over again. You know where you are, just in case if you have to stop for any reason. So I'm just going to do a few more times, then I will speed up the video to you until we get to the clasp bit, so I can show you how to attach the clasp. So again, just trying to hold it so you can see it the best way. Picking up a delicate bead and a bugle bead, missing a bugle bead and the first delicate bead, and going through the second delicate bead there. And as you can see, it's already forming that lovely triangle shape with my beads. And because we don't need to step up, we're doing it continuously. That's what will create the lovely spiraling effect all the way through. And doing with these bugle beads and delicate beads, it does make your stitching look like a little bit more delicate, and it's a little bit more like a store-bought item, I guess. So again, so I'm just going to speed up the next bit a little bit and do an inch or so you can see how the stitch is forming. So as you can see, I got about an inch already and it started to spiral around all together. So do as much, keep on continue doing your beading until you have about maybe about a foot thread left, because you're going to need that to attach your clasp. Right, so as you can see, I only have about a feet of thread left. I spiraled all the way around. The stitch line just turned out lovely. This is probably like a little bit more than half the bracelet. So if I put this in half, so I've done from one side of the thread, I've done more than half the bracelet. And then once we attach the clasp, we're going to unreel more thread from the bobbin and continue our stitching on the other side. But first, let's see how to attach the clasp. Now the clasp what we're using here is a magnetic clasp. I love this clasp. It's so easy to take off and put on. They have a loop on both sides, and you're just going to sew the end of your weaving into like this little loop, just going through backwards and forwards. But to do that, you need to create a point on your weaving. Now, as you can see, this is quite wide. So what we need to do is just using the delicate beads to work this into more of a point. So if I show you on this one, you can see we working as we going along with our stitching, and at the end work into a nice little point so you can really neatly attach your clasp. So instead of picking up a bugle bead here, all you're going to do, you're going to pick up 3 delicate beads and nothing else, and you're going to pretend like this is a delicate and a bugle bead as you did all the way along, and miss 1 bugle bead, 1 delicate bead, and go through the second. Then you're going to repeat this again, picking up 3 delicate beads, missing a bugle, a delicate, going through the second. And for the third time, picking up 3 delicate beads, missing a bugle, the first delicate, and going through the second. Now you're going to pick up 2 delicate beads, and you're going to miss 3 delicate beads on here. So 1, 2, 3, and going through the next one. Again, you can pick up 2 delicate beads, missing 1, 2, 3, and going through the next one. And pull it tight. And for the last time, picking up 2 delicate beads, missing 3, 1, 2, 3, and going through the next one. Now for our final row, we're just going to pick up 1 delicate bead, 1. We're going to miss 1, 2, and go through the third one. Pick up another one, miss 1, 2, go through the third one, and pick up our final delicate bead and miss 1, 2, 3, and you're going to go through just this one here and pull it tight. I'm just going to go back into, go through all the last 3 of them one more time to really sew them together. So as you can see, if I bring it up right close, as you can see, you got 1, 2, 3 here. Now I'm going to start sewing each one of these delicate beads to the clasp. So as I'm exiting out of this delicate bead, I'm just going to go through the loop on my clasp, let it go all the way down there, and I'm going to go through the same delicate bead again and pull it tight. So the loop just right there, the clasp just sitting on the top of the delicate bead. Then I'm going to go through the next delicate bead. Again, I'm going to go through the loop on the clasp. So I'm sewing this delicate to the clasp as well, and go to the same delicate bead again, the one I'm exiting out from, which is this one. and pull this tight. That's it. And I'm going to go through the third delicate bead, and again I'm going to go through the loop and sew this delicate bead to the clasp as well. So going through the loop and then back through the delicate bead I just came out from. So now all three of my beads are sewn to the clasp. However, this connection is the one what you're going to rub the most against, and you're going to pull most as you're wearing your bracelet. So I do like to sort of just go through the loop a few more times. I'm not stitching sort of each delicate bead now. I'm just going through delicate bead, then through the loop, then go through another delicate bead on the other side, back through the loop again, just a few more times to really give that strength to your bracelet. Once you feel that you have enough, you went through enough time, what you're going to do, you're going to have to work this tail off. So what I usually do, I go through the backwards, sort of spiraling down on my stitch here. So I'm just going to go through these two, bring it a little bit closer, and then go, just following any thread path you created. Just keep going down with it. Just like so. Now I've got down to the part where now got the bugles as well, so I'm going to start to go through a few bugles as well, and then I'm going to finish it off with a 1 thread knot. Now 1 thread knot is a really easy and it's a really secure way to finish your thread off, to knot your thread off, because you don't want this thread to travel back up and your beading to uncome. Just let's go through this last one again and I'll show you what a 1 thread knot is. So a 1 thread knot, what I want to do, as you can see where I am, if I pull it a little bit out, there is a thread path right underneath there. So I'm just gonna, I don't want to go through any bead, I just want to catch this thread path. So I'm just gonna go under that thread path and pull my thread up. And as you can see, we got this little loop formed. So before this little loop would disappear, I'm going to take my needle and thread and pull it through. And as you can see, as I'm pulling that tight, that forms a tiny little knot, and then pull that tight on your weaving. And then what you do, you repeat this. I would like to repeat like 1 or 2 more times, so you got a really nice secure finish. So I'm just going to go through a few more beads and just do another 1 thread knot. And then never cut your thread off right next to your knot, what you created, because the knot can come undone and it can spoil your bead. So always when you do a 1 thread knot, or even if you join a new thread and you knot the 2 threads together, always take your thread to a few more beads and then cut it off, so you got a nice secure finish. So I'm just doing my second 1 thread knot here. You can go to the loop 1, or you can go to the loop even twice. That's forming a bigger knot. When I'm working with smaller beads, I just like to go through once because I want a nice little delicate knot on there. If I'm working with larger beads, I might go through the loop what I'm forming a couple of times. And just take it through a few more beads, just like so. And I'm gonna cut this end off now. So just cut it off. I'm gonna take this through this bugle bead, lay it down flat, and take my scissors right into the bead very carefully and just cut it off. And we got a nice professional finish to our bracelet. So what you're going to do now, your bobbin is still here, so I'm going to unreel more thread from my bobbin. Again, a couple of arm spam. I don't like to work with anything longer because then your thread can tangle up and it's a pain to undo the knots of your thread. And thread my needle onto this side, and because the way how we started the whole weave with our base row, if I show this to you, you can see we got this base row exactly mirrored on the other side. So again, you coming out in the right position here to add further beads, and you're going to do the same thing what you did on the other side. There's nothing different to it at all. You're going to pick up one delicate bead, one bugle bead. You're going to miss a bugle, you're going to miss a delicate, and go through the second one. And again, you're going to do the same thing and just continue your stitching until you get to your desired length. Now don't forget, the end is going to give you a little bit of a length to your bracelet, because obviously you're doing that little bit just for the delicate beads. Also, because the nature of this stitch actually is a little bit stretchy, so don't make your bracelet too long. I would say maybe about it will get a 5% bigger over time because the way how it is, and that's it really. Once you get your desired length, you're gonna again just add your delicate beads at the end, sew the other loop of the clasp on there, and you got a lovely bracelet. Now you can do this in a shorter or longer length. If you're doing a longer length like a necklace, you're gonna have to add a new thread down the line. Again, you can do the same thing. You can weave a new thread in and secure it with a one thread knot, then unveil the bobbin and do more of your stitching. But that's it really to the Russian spiral. Once you get more comfortable, you can use 3 different colors of bugles or different colors of delicate beads. It's just a really lovely and easy stitch. You can do it with different clasp, like it's this one. I just got a lobster clasp and a closed ring, so the lobster clasp goes into the closed ring here. You can do many different variations for it. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I see you soon.